Reports circulating from the front line claim that the 3rd Assault Brigade has launched a large-scale operation targeting enemy defensive shelters in the Kharkiv area. According to the reports, the operation is focused on a network of fortified positions allegedly housing more than 300 enemy infantry personnel. The reported objective is to weaken defensive capabilities and disrupt troop concentrations before any potential follow-on operations. At the time of publication, independent verification of the reported troop numbers, the scale of the operation, or the outcome has not been possible. Military authorities have not released detailed official information confirming the claims. The situation in the Kharkiv region remains highly dynamic, with both sides continuing offensive and defensive operations. Analysts caution that battlefield reports released during active combat are often incomplete and may change as additional information becomes available. Transformed battlefields into landscapes where survival often depends on seconds, communication, and relentless determination. Among the countless clashes reported during the Russia-Ukraine war, occasionally emerge describing small groups of soldiers undertaking missions that appear almost impossible. One such account tells of 27 soldiers launching an assault on a heavily fortified trench system during an intense 2-3 minute engagement. Whether viewed as an example of tactical planning, extraordinary courage, or the brutal realities of trench warfare, the battle highlights how modern combat often unfolds at close range despite the presence of drones, satellites, and advanced weapons. Many military experts believe trench warfare belonged to history after the First World War. However, the conflict in Ukraine has demonstrated that trenches remain among the most effective defensive structures against artillery, drones, and armored assaults. Extensive trench networks stretch for kilometers across parts of the front line. These positions are reinforced with bunkers, firing ports, underground shelters, communication trenches, and concealed supply routes. Capturing even a few hundred meters can require tremendous effort and significant risk. Assaulting such positions is one of the most dangerous missions any infantry unit can receive. According to battlefield accounts, the attacking force consisted of just 27 soldiers tasked with clearing a strategically important trench held by experienced defenders. Preparation likely began long before the attack itself. Intelligence from reconnaissance drones, surveillance teams, and intercepted communications would have been analyzed to identify enemy firing positions and likely ambush points. Each soldier would have understood his assigned role before crossing into enemy territory. Some carried rifles configured for close combat. Others were equipped with machine guns to provide suppressive fire. Several soldiers likely carried grenades and demolition charges to eliminate fortified bunkers. The operation reportedly began with supporting fire intended to disrupt enemy observation and suppress defensive positions. Artillery shells landed near the trench, while drones monitored movement overhead.
Скалс! Живой? Скалс, как ты?
As smoke drifted across the battlefield, the assault team advanced quickly across open ground. This phase is often considered the most dangerous.
Скалс, ты как? Скалс! Хорошим ебало!
Defenders typically have pre-registered firing zones designed to stop attacking troops before they reach the trench itself. Bullets, mortar fragments, and exploding artillery create an environment where movement becomes incredibly difficult. Despite these hazards, the assault force reportedly continued its advance.
Кидаю гранату. Все, плюс.
Reaching the trench marks only the beginning of the battle. Unlike fighting across open terrain, trench combat forces soldiers into narrow passageways where visibility is limited and every corner can conceal an opponent.
Нехай дим вийде нахуй. Да, не пусть дим вийде нахуй.
Combat often occurs at extremely short distances. Grenades become essential weapons.
СПшка вгорі.
Горі СП.
Давай туди нахуй.
Що, йде?
Да, давай.
Teams move carefully, clearing one section at a time while ensuring defenders cannot attack from behind.
Проблема.
Communication is reduced to brief commands shouted over explosions and gunfire.
Туда.
The attackers reportedly divided into smaller groups, allowing them to clear multiple trench sections simultaneously while maintaining mutual support.
Спортик є. Спортик. У тебе є противогази,
Russia's goal here was to break through the Ukrainian forward positions covering the northeastern approaches to Sloviansk, especially in the Zakitne and Kriva Luka direction.
Да. Плюс. Плохой. Кому я иду, блядь?
These settlements matter because they form part of the outer defensive area shielding Sloviansk, so losing them would weaken the defense and open more favorable routes toward positions farther back.
Зараз пересуваємося до їх. Як буде краще, бо посадкою густою не підемо.
Блядь.
That is why Russia launched a larger mechanized assault here rather than relying solely on smaller infantry probes, as it was trying to force a breakthrough through the outer layer of the defense in a single push.
Скала, давай куди біжи, блядь!
Продвигайся, мозг.
Сука! Та я розумію, що...
Давай, моб, я за тобой замыкаюсь.
Russia tried to do that by sending two assault groups forward at the same time on separate routes, one toward Zakitne and the other toward Kriva Luka, in order to pressure the Ukrainian defense from multiple directions. This gave the attack a better chance of splitting Ukrainian attention and stretching drone coverage, preventing the defenders from focusing all their fire on one approach.
Ти дає пройти, блядь, заїбав він нахуй. Якщо там окопна лінія, хай роз'їбуть її нахуй, блядь.
This attack plan was meant to give the Russians several advantages during the advance. Russians also committed motorcycles to reduce dependence on roads and tight formations, allowing the Russians to cross exposed ground faster without bunching into an easy target.
Всі цілі! Плюс.
The Russians also sent several tanks and BMP to their assault, meant to suppress Ukrainian positions and absorb fire while lighter elements pushed forward.
Водя. Дружка. Да. Да.
In theory, that made the assault more resilient than a single dense column, because even if one vehicle was hit, other elements could still keep moving, giving the Russians a better chance of achieving their goal.
Хай разъебывает нахуй ту хуйню, блядь. Сука, не дает пройти, блядь, вообще, блядь.
However, the main weakness of this Russian assault was that both groups still had to cross exposed approach routes into a defended sector.
А мне похую, блядь. ССО-чаечка, нахуй, блядь. Ёбаний в рот, нахуй. Я маю, блядь, приймати перший бій, ёбаний в рот, нахуй.
That allowed Ukrainian defenders to track the advancing elements early, slow them on the route in, and then strike vehicles and isolated groups as the assault began to break apart. Instead of arriving as one concentrated force, the Russian assault was reduced to smaller fragments that could be destroyed separately. The footage shows exactly how that breakdown happened in practice, as Russian motorcycles, transport vehicles, and BMP move along roads and tree lines. But instead of building into one continuous assault, those elements appear increasingly separated as they come under fire. FPV drones strike BMP and other vehicles while they are still moving, catching them before they can reach cover or support the rest of the advance. In several moments, the assault appears to lose tempo completely, with individual vehicles destroyed on the route, while other elements are forced to keep moving past wrecks or stop in exposed positions. Abandoned motorcycles and vehicles were hit after parts of the assault had already stalled, suggesting a loss of momentum before the attackers ever reached the line. By the time burning wrecks begin to accumulate along the approach, the footage shows that the real battle was no longer at the point of breakthrough, because Ukrainian defenses had already turned the route into a kill zone and broken the assault apart in motion.